We were just talking about attitudes and beliefs and choosing and becoming empowered through choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love the last thing you said about, choosing the lens from which you see life, like there's the attitudes and beliefs that we inherited. And is that how you want to move through life? Or, who do you want to be? You get to choose, like whatever, I think.
Yeah. One thing that I like to say is you should be your favorite person. Like if you're not your favorite person, then something needs to be tweaked, because you're the only one you're in charge of. You can be your favorite person. You can be from the inside. I mean, maybe not on the outside. That takes a while to kind of like recalibrate. If your favorite person is somebody who's like really wealthy and has an amazing whatever partner and all these things, those external things take a while to fall into place. But the place that it starts to have that best life, to be your favorite person, is inside with your choices.
So is this something that you like, how did you come to this for yourself? Like, is this the attitude that you inherited, was be your favorite person, or is it something that you found? Like, how did you get here?
I think that it came to me through this exercise that I kind of morphed out of something that Sage Emery did, one of her exercises, which is called the personal celebrities exercise. And you pick 4 people or gods or goddesses or fictional characters or whatever that you really respect, that you really admire, like, the highest, some people are like, Jesus and Gandhi and, Oprah. Oprah's one of mine.
I like that list.
Yeah. It's good to be corn in, Jesus, Gandhi, Oprah, corn in. Who else do you need? I have some different ones, but anyway, and you put them around you, right? Like, so you're standing in the middle and there's all of them around you.
Like imagining them around you, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, they actually are there. and then what you do is you step into each of the roles, right? So I'd step into Gandhi and I would speak as though I was Gandhi, and I would tell you who I was and all my special traits and how I feel. And then I'd step into Jesus and I'd say who I am and what's important to me. Meanwhile, the person who's my exercise partner is writing everything down that you say for each of these. Then you go and you stand in that place and you read that list of qualities speaking about yourself. So you say, I'm Amy and I am this and this and this and this. And it's this really big moment when you realize, like, everybody gets emotional when they do that, because they realize it's true, that those characteristics actually are there. They're actually those people are just projections of my higher self. That's why I'm drawn to them, because they remind me of a part of me. And so when you say that, at first you're kind of playing, you're like, oh yeah, I'm Gandhi, and and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, hey, I am Gandhi. Like inside there's a part of me that is Gandhi, and I can love myself that way. It helps us love ourselves. And that's where we should be our favorite person came from, pretty much. It's like, we are those projections. I just feel like as a society, we choose humility over standing tall and proud. We choose to dumb ourselves down, to be smaller, to put ourselves down, push ourselves down. We do this internal thing with the critic that's not helpful to anybody. And I love the idea that we could all stand a little prouder, and we don't have to inflate ourselves at all. We just can accept our inner angelic natures. We can just accept that we actually are beautiful beings. We wouldn't be drawn to beautiful beings on the outside if we weren't beautiful beings on the inside.
I feel like it's coming back to our original nature, our original untainted perfection, that nature that we just sort of, whatever happened in the early years or whatever happened in our past with these stories that just kind of like get coded on us and weighed down, and we forgot that they were stories that were put on us. It's like returning to who you've always been.
Yeah. Taking off those layers, those kind of like psychological structures that we put on ourselves, like, well, maybe if I, work on my personality, people will like me better. Or maybe if I just don't have outbursts, people will like me better. And all the things that we do to be liked and accepted actually kind of cramp us inside. And then we kind of wind up being some contorted version of ourselves. Instead of like, if without all those layers, then we can just be back to our innocent,
perfection,
bright, spiritual, angelic natures. Yeah. Perfection. Yes. What if we could all accept our perfection? You know? Yeah.
I heard a great story. I don't know who said it. It could have been Oprah or Buddha or
one of my
Kanye, whatever.
Some part of us.
They said, you're perfect. You can, oh shoot, what is it? You're perfect, but you could use a little work. Like it's both, like your absolute perfection, and you can use a little work, right? And that's the work. The work is like coming back to our perfection, like really owning that because we are perfect.
Right. Yeah. The work is not to add anything. The work is to release things, right? A little work is like, take off this, take off that. Right. And we're all kind of always evolving and growing. Yeah. But I think that we're always at our best. There's this woman named Amber Jayanti who I really like. She's written books about tarot, but this one sentence that really grabbed me was that everyone is always doing their best. And, gosh, I've told so many people that, and people will fight me about that. They will fight me because they are convinced that they're not doing their best. But I know it's true. I mean, I really believe that everybody's always doing their best. And if they could do better, they would. In the moment, at that moment, with the resources they have, everybody's always making the best choice for themselves.
Wow, that's a really bold statement, especially right now in this world where there's so much animosity and so much infighting. There's so much struggle and division, and there's a lot of opinions. People have strong opinions, like they're this or they're that, like to sit in a place where it like really believing like everybody's doing their best, given the resources they have. Given the stories that are running, everybody's doing their best. Like, what if everybody felt that way? What if everybody took that on? Even people that they think are doing things wrong, like everybody.
Right.
Like,
that person's best. Yeah. Right. And I believe it, like, I'm just thinking as we talk, like, about like vaccination and anti-vaccination. And like you said, everybody's so tight about this, but gosh, everybody's engaged, like they're researching, they're looking, even though we're researching and looking at different information, like people are trying hard. I mean, talk about doing your best. Like they're over the top with their doing their best. And then, of course, they wind up on the ventilator and say, I was wrong. And then they're doing their best in that moment. Right. But they were doing their best all the way through.
Right.
Yeah.
They have different information and different resources and, and then they just do their best wherever they are now. Interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool, isn't it? So I love that phrase. Everyone's always doing their best.
Something that I heard today, and this sort of goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of the lens you choose to look at life through and the past and how that has held us down, is the idea that we're special. And this was a different way of thinking about it for me. Like special could be either like I'm special because I'm like in a good special way, or special like I'm suffering. But like people hold on to the identity of being special in some way that's based on the past, and like really holding on to this identity because it feels special. And it's interesting, the idea of like being special as in suffering, that there's something special in the suffering, like holding on to some story, which is holding you back from living the life that you want to live, but really being attached to this, I'm special in this way.
Yeah, I think that kind of like negative thinking, or that's like kind of like suffering identity, where you see yourself as somebody who suffers and you're attached to that identity. It's like that's what it is. It's an attachment to an identity. It's like you wouldn't know who you were if you let go of that. Like, who would I be? And I think that it's hard to make that choice, or challenging, or it's kind of easy, uncomfortable, but easier to stay in kind of a negative thinking identity than to just not know who you are. So
it's a little like asking somebody to jump off into an abyss of the unknown, like let go
Yeah.
of everything you believe yourself to be and just trust that there's something else. Like, how do you coach somebody? Like,
Well,
from standing where you are, you can see, it's not an abyss. Like it's a bliss. It's not an abyss. It's a bliss. But it's really like clinging to something that is familiar.
yeah.
Like how do you support somebody in that?
I think people need more awareness of what they're clinging to. I think that this whole process is quite an unconscious process for most people, and that if they had more awareness of what they're clinging to and what the origin was, and what they're really going for in the clinging, what they need, and if they can kind of go back to the original moment that they felt that way, or a typical moment from their childhood that created this clinging or this depression or this, then you can kind of start to loosen it up. And usually how I coach my clients is to I learned this from a woman named Janina Fisher, a therapist who works with trauma. And you straighten up your spine. So there's a physical thing that you do first, and you just straighten up your spine and you connect to your higher self. And all of us, have a higher self that we can connect to, and pretty much everybody is in touch with it. Everybody somehow has this deep knowing what's best for them, or where their soul is evolving, I think. And so you connect with that place, and then you imagine yourself back in that original situation where you started gripping. And so you've disidentified with the gripper, but now you're in the tall spine and you're watching yourself in that original situation. You see yourself and you walk in as a wise guide and mentor and help yourself out of this by creating relationship with your more higher self, wise mind self. The wise mind comes in and nurtures. It was like a missing figure in the moment that this thing happened, is that we weren't connected to our wise mind, and we felt we had no resources, and we felt alone, and we were strategizing as a 4-year-old, and then those 4-year-old patterns like get in and stick. And so we're still kind of 4 years old. And whenever we get triggered and a trauma, we get re-traumatized, we go back to that really quickly. It's an unconscious process that has to do with the brain. And, we like leave our rational mind and go back to our primal
survival kind of, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so this is a memory, is the phrase that I use with my clients, to remember, like, oh, when you get into that triggered space, this is a memory. It's not happening from the past. I have to access this is a memory, helps you re-access the wise mind. And so you straighten up your spine. It's pretty easy to remember a physical cue. Straighten up your spine, and then give that suffering child some love from the wise mind. Help them relax this. What do they need to do to relax their gripping? Oh, I need to be held. I need to cry. I need somebody to tell me I'm actually beautiful. I need to run outside and play. Whatever that child needs, the wise mind part has to kind of befriend. And this is such a big part of so many people's problems, is that we're just split inside. We're just fragmented inside, and we don't have internal relationships between the critic and the part that gets beaten up inside. They have no dialogue. It's just constantly this thing. I hate myself, or whatever. Like, what's going on there? And it's just bringing those parts out and getting them into dialogue.
Even just the simple, like, straighten up your spine, like that cue, which already sort of separates that, and the phrase "it's a memory" takes it from like, oh my God, this is happening now, to there's a little bit more space, right? So you can see it more clearly and have some compassion. And, oh, my cat is tearing up the blinds.
You want to go ahead and deal with it?
It's done now. It's done.
The blinds are gone.
It reminds me of when my dad was learning how to kayak and learning how to roll a kayak. I know that you've done this too. The cue that the coach gave him was, when you're underwater, when you're flipped upside down, the first thing you do is knock 3 times on your kayak. Don't do anything. Knock 3 times and then flip yourself. So you get yourself out of that panic mode with a physical cue, that knocking 3 times puts you in the present moment and out of that fight or flight. So then you can think more clearly. It reminds me that same thing, like straighten your spine, knock 3 times, same thing.
Right.
Just
we're in the
to
present moment.
break the cycle.
Right. And you're in control, right? I'm knocking. I'm choosing to knock. And I'm knocking. It's like, oh, wait, I'm in the present moment. It's a choice. And so we're back to choices and attitudes and beliefs, and, like really feeling like, because it's so easy to just slide into that like victim me kind of, suffering, like, that gets triggered, but if you make that choice to straighten your spine, you're already in choice. You're already taking charge of this experience. You're in that part of yourself instead of the, like, what's wrong with me?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like to knock 3 times. I think maybe I'll try knocking 3 times.
Nice.
People are like, what are you doing? Knock 3 times. It's like, click your heels 3 times. There's no place like home.
Right.
Maybe that's what she was doing. Maybe that's what Dorothy was doing when she clicked her heels 3 times, as she felt empowered to bring herself back home to herself. Maybe Wizard of Oz was onto something.
Right. Well, they were definitely onto something.
They were definitely on something. It's great. Wow, you have so many gifts, you really do. Like, if everybody just listened to you.
Well, yeah, that's what the podcast is for, or the books or whatever. It's just like dispel some of the wisdom, we get to live. I was so lucky to have my process work education, and I think I was already kind of on a similar path, but it just really gave me structures for all the different things I believe, and helped me frame it and understand my own personal evolution, and gave me so much fluidity. And yeah, I feel really grateful. And then it just seems silly to sit around and kind of know things or have things that could help people without doing anything. And I think the pandemic has really amplified that. Because now we're really stuck and not helping anybody, if you're just at your house. And so it made me want to step out.
And there's a big need out there. There's a lot of people who are isolated and feeling stuck and in pain. And, need a little self-loving, a lot of self-loving.
Yeah, a lot of self-loving. Yeah, even just that, what you just did, put your hand on your heart. It's like, it's just such a sweet gesture, and it feels so good. It's just so, it's like that. I think that this is like the sign, like self-love sign. And almost always in my sessions, the people will put their hands on their heart. And it's like, it's that wise mind. The hand is like the wise mind, but they don't even know that they do it. When the people have their hands on their hearts, they don't know until I tell them. They're like, and then they're like, I didn't have my hand on my heart.
Why is that bad? Why is it bad?
It's okay. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's okay. Let's both have our hands on our heart.
What are both my hands on?
But more hands. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like connected to the deepest part of ourselves. Yeah.
This is like a reflex for me. It's just like reflexively.
Yeah. Most people. And it's that part of ourselves that wants to nurture. If you imagine this hand as being kind of disembodied from like a spirit, it's like it comes right into your heart to nurture. And that's that part of ourselves that we're not usually connected to enough. We're more in relationship with the critic than with the one that loves ourselves. But our bodies know it. Our bodies are doing it. It's in there.
Touch. It's like the mother's touch.
Yeah.
Powerful. And actually, so something beautiful that you did, you put out as a love hack, which I mentioned before, which is really sort of revolutionary. Like when you even just washing your face. We touch our faces all the time, as we know, because we're not supposed to touch our faces. But when you're like washing your face or putting on lotion or sunscreen, like it's really an act of self-love, right? Yeah, like totally.
Soap in the shower, it's like such an amazing opportunity to touch ourselves with love. And most of us probably like, we're in the shower like scrub. It's like so practical, but you're touching yourself. Like you could get the same thing done. The soap will still get everywhere. You can do a little bit more in certain places, but still you can do it with the intention of loving. Like if you were giving somebody a bath, in the old days when people bathed each other, I mean, it's a beautiful ritual for people to bathe each other, or parents bathing children, touch them with love, touch ourselves with love. Oh, shampoo, oh god.
Yeah, the feeling of getting your hair shampooed at a salon, like it's like I just want to do that, do that to yourself,
Yes. We can do that. We forget. And even, self-massage, I can't even tell you how long I'm like, oh gosh, I need a massage. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've got these 2 hands right here. I can't get everything, but I can get a lot. I can get a lot. My head, my feet, my neck. I have so many neck problems, and I just didn't even realize I could work on it myself.
You can reach it.
I can reach it. Yeah. And I probably do it unconsciously, but to bring awareness and love in is different than just kind of doing it unconsciously. And people are edged out by it. They're scared to love themselves. They're scared to be seen loving themselves. I think that everybody is afraid there's the narcissism bomb, in the background, there's this big ghost, and people love to point fingers at narcissists and show a little bit of self-love or self-like. And watch out, because people will call you a narcissist, it's I don't know if that's really true that they will, but I think that people are afraid of that, and they'd rather be seen as somebody who's humble, or worse than humble, too overly humble, turns into that self-flagellation. Martyr, that's the word. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What were we just talking about? In the shower, massage yourself, love yourself. Oh, I was going to tell my story. I want to tell you my story. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but as a child, when I was probably, I don't know, I was probably 5 or 6, I was really interested in who I was. I was very curious about who this person was. And I remember standing there and looking at myself in the mirror, and then feeling nervous that, if somebody could see me. I was actually really interested in who I was. I'm looking at my face and looking at my whatever. And then I realized that if I stepped right up to the mirror, I could get really close, as long as I was picking something on my face, and I could pick at myself in the mirror and kind of get away with being really close and looking at myself and being that close to myself, as long as I was picking at something or destroying, being destructive to my face. I was probably a little bit older than that, because I'm sure I had to have something to pick. But I really remember standing in my bathroom. I was less than 10, and going through that process of realizing I came up with a trick. I'm going to start picking my face so I can get real close, and nobody will know that it's actually me really loving myself.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Did you continue to pick at your face? Do you still with that realization, is that gone?
Well, first of all, one thing is that I never minded having zits or anything like that. Unless they were really big and I got them bloody or something like that, then I was a little embarrassed that I had picked them so much. But if I have something on my face, I'm actually usually pretty excited, and I think that it's linked to that thing of so I used to eat chocolate a lot, and it would make me break out, and I was like, I don't care. I can get closer to myself.
That's funny.
I just don't pick so much anymore, mostly because my partner doesn't like when I pick, because he's really anti zits and pimples and stuff like that. He if I have one, he's constantly looking at, he looks at it all the time. He stares at it like it's an alien.
That's funny.
Yeah. So for that reason, I don't really pick anymore. But on my arm, I do still. I was picking my arm.
I don't mind the smell of my farts. I got that from you. Wow, that's really interesting. That came out of me. Oh, well, it smells a little like what I ate. I just don't get grossed out by the smell of my own body. That's fascinating.
That's
In,
cool.
out,
armpits and everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is great. I actually think that we covered quite a lot of really cool things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's fun to talk about this stuff.
It's really good.
Yeah.
You're in the right line of work helping people.
Yeah, it's cool to have tools to be able to give people.
And people come to you trusting you and like looking for sage advice. You know, it's not like you're just standing on a street corner on a soapbox.
Yeah.
Which is really beautiful.
Yeah. Not everybody trusts me right away. We often have to build trust at first.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's special. And there's going to be a time when I can't do, you know, like individual clients, like my practice will be full. I can feel it already. It's like swelling to the point where it's like, I don't want to take too many more clients because I need time for myself. So that's why I want to scale it, and things like this, podcasts and books and places where we can just, you know, hit many people at once instead of one at a time.
Disseminate your wisdom.
Disseminate the wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Our wisdom. It's everybody's. It's not mine.
It's the wisdom, you know, right? Yeah,
I'm just have a habit of collecting it. Yeah, I'm really into. I'm into having a good life for myself, and so I've been very hungry for any piece of wisdom that supports me to have a better life. And you know, one thing that as I'm writing the book, I sometimes I hear people in the back, you know, criticizing different points, and it's like, if things don't work for you, just don't use them. You know, this is back to that power of choice.
Right.
Is, you know, choose the things that work for you. I'm not here to debate whether or not they're true. It's not about truth. It's just kind of like, this really works for me. You know, thinking about life in this way really works for me. Thinking about my problems, thinking about the way I talk to myself, thinking about picking my face, whatever it is, like I just choose the ones that are the most supportive for me to feel open and joyful and loving myself.
And it's just an invitation, you know, like this is what I've gleaned in my life, the things that work for me, and here they are. You can try them too. You know, it's just an invitation, and people can take them or not, you know.
Yeah.
They can choose.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I just realized I'm like not up for a fight. I'm not up for debates. Like it's like as soon as I start going there, I get exhausted and I feel like I don't even want to do this. So I just feel like, put it out there. It'll help some people. That's good enough. You know, I'm not here to prove that my way is the right way. No. But it is right for me, and I don't have to prove that to myself. So.
Well, you have. The proof is in the pudding, you know.
It's true. Yeah. Yesterday, my partner accidentally threw away a bunch of my important stuff. I had a bin filled with things that were important paperwork and maybe some money and some other little treasures, and he thought it was garbage and recycling and took it to the university and threw it out. When I told him, I was like, that was my important stuff, and he like ran out of the house, ran to the university and checked the garbage, and it was gone.
Oh my gosh.
He responded so fast. He was like a lightning streak out of the house. So sweet. But yeah, and then so my response to it, at first I was like, get away my stuff, I can't believe it. But pretty quickly I just reframed it as, you know, people have fires tear down their house and they lose a whole lot more than that one little bin of papers, and people die and they don't get to take that bin of papers with them. They don't, you know, it's not like I'm dying but I'm keeping my papers. My treasures. For me, it was like, I don't want to get stuck in this place of like, what was in that bin and why did he do that, and all these grippings. I just wanted to be okay with it. I just wanted to say, it's gone, it's gone. There's nothing I can do about it now. Let it go.
Because holding on to it it hurts you. You know, like that's total part of self-love. It's like letting go of that stuff so it doesn't fester, so it doesn't cling. You know, it's like they say resentment is like swallowing poison and hoping somebody else dies. You know, like
really, gosh, that's poisoning. A cool phrase.
You've never heard that before? Oh, it's great. No. It's because resentment, you're poisoning yourself. The other person could be like la di da di da and have no idea that you're really upset. You're not. Resentment doesn't hurt them; it hurts you. It's
wow, that's a great phrase.
It's an act of self-love to let it go, right?
Yes, exactly, for yourself. Yeah, we think when we like, what is that called? Holding a grudge or whatever. Yes. It's like it's pain on us. You know, we make it all about the other person, but it's like, what are we doing to ourselves? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or if they do, they're just having their own experience, and like things happen and then they're done and we move on. We're doing other things. Still holding on to that one thing you said 20 years ago.
Right. It's drinking poison and hoping they die. Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Wow, that's beautiful. I mean, disgusting, but wonderful. What do you think is the name of our podcast?
I thought you had one. I thought it was going to be Love Bites. I thought you were going to
right.
use that for the podcast.
That's good. Yes. Love Bites.
You said it.
My past self is so smart. I love my past self.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Love Bites.
Yeah, we got this. Okay.
I love you.
What was the thing? How do we sign off?
See you next time.
Is that what we said?
I don't know.
Until later? Until next time.
Until next time. Until next time. Love you. Okay, wait. I like our first podcast. I think it's been really great.
Yeah, I do too. This is really fun.
I didn't even like do my hair or anything.
Your hair looks great, actually. I was like,
here, should we say goodbye for now?
Sure. Goodbye for now.
Okay. Goodbye for now.
That's a good sign off, actually. I like that one.